Good afternoon, Nitin. Hi. Just
Right.
by way of introduction, um, this is the second Apex podcast that we're doing. So thank you for joining. And just by way of introduction, we've really designed Apex as a podcast to bring some of the brightest minds that are working on the future of property, particularly in the area of technology, and invite them to have a conversation with us, either myself or Nick Walsh, really around what they're doing and probably more importantly, how they see the property, and retail real estate market kind of evolving over the coming years. So that's what we'll be focused on. We'll keep it fairly concise, 10, 15-minute conversation. And let's have a bit of fun. So it'd be really helpful. Could you just give a quick, brief introduction to yourself and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It's a topic which is close to my heart and always up. I'm glad you invited us. So I am Nitin Aggarwal. I'm the founder and CEO of Property Deals Insight. So we are a PropTech platform providing one of the most powerful data and insights solution for the UK real estate. And we've been going around just under 5 years now, helping investors, estate agencies, asset managers, and other prop tech businesses who partner with us or leverage our solutions.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that. So look, if we jump straight into it, you know, I guess we see the market is, to some extent, like it sounds like what you serve at the moment is primarily um, individuals or organizations that are looking to get data on property deals. Is that kind of where your focus is?
Oh, well, that's where we started off. So the platform was born out of necessity. So I come from a corporate technology background, and I was a property investor myself for over close to 2 decades almost now, actually. But I was always struggling to find the right information at the right time, and just kind of initially started off as my back pocket utility. And initially we were targeting investors like myself. However, over the years, we have evolved into providing data and insights into some of the largest businesses as well. So we work with a variety of clients, whether they are individuals or specialist property professionals. But more recently, we've been actually helping out asset managers, other large platforms who are in need of our data. And I think data being the key topic in terms of and one of the key pain points for the UK property industry as well.
Yeah.
So we've kind of taken on some of the less, what should I say, attractive problems to solve, but we've actually allowing people to get meaningful insights of that. As they say, it's data has never really been a problem. It's about having meaningful data or accurate data. That's always been the challenge because all the systems out there, you've got the land reg and Ministry of Housing, Ofsted, or Ordnance Survey, all sorts of systems, but they're all disparate. There's no like integration. There's no single entity which can actually bring it all together, and that's the challenge which we've tried to take head on. And off the back of it, we've actually built really sophisticated algorithms and tool sets, and they are allowing us to help individuals, estate agency customers, other prop techs, where we've actually enabled our data for and open that as APIs and data kind of contracts and reports which we make available.
Cool. I mean, yeah. I think you're definitely in a very, it's like an early stage of a new wave of kind of prop tech is kind of what we see. I'd just be interested in your views on this, which is you touched on data there. So you're right. In the past, um, data has been very disparate, and now you're bringing that together. And I guess what we see in the market is there's there's the opportunity, and I'd really appreciate your views on this, is where do you see the opportunity in terms of serving that data to, and if I come sort of almost to the consumer market, to a seller or to a
Sure.
buyer of a property, because historically that data has always been obfuscated via your estate agent to some extent.
Yes.
So what are your views on that? Where do you see that going?
I think that is spot on, and I might annoy some of my customers in here, but I think I don't want to be kind of shying away from the truth. The reality is, in the past, customers have always struggled and they've had to rely on other real estate professionals. In most cases, that's the estate agent, which is kind of their bridge between what the reality is, so they can actually decide how they can sell or buy their asset, essentially. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons I kind of started the company back in 2019. It was basically the real estate being your biggest asset, the most expensive thing you ever buy or sell in your lifetime, and you shouldn't be leaving it to chance. I want to be making informed decisions, and that's all we kind of the mantra for our business is helping people make informed decisions. And I think if we could give them the right information, they can choose who they want to do business with. And I'm not saying that that should mean they should discount the agents completely. I mean, ultimately, that should be their decision. However, if anybody who's looking to sell their property has all the information about the property in one place, and equally somebody who's looking to buy property, and a lot of transactions have started happening remotely these days, so you don't necessarily have to be a local property expert to be able to make that decision. All you need is some meaningful source which can actually make that information available without you having to bang your head for weeks or hours actually. So that's what we've tried to solve, and we've actually serviced our clients in a way where it's simple to understand data rather than throwing a lot of data and them which they can't make any heads or tails of. That's what we've been trying to do, and that's what the customers love about us. And this is similar. I think more and more companies are now starting to allow them listing automatically, and I think that's becoming more of a trend where in the past companies like Open Rent have been helping people for rentals, and I think that's becoming quite an interesting proposition for clients who are looking to do that on the sales side. I guess my agent being one of the company, and we quite like you guys. What you guys are doing.
Yeah,
It's the market has been shouting out for that. I mean, ultimately now with the availability of the data, with the availability of accurate information, which you can make available for people, with everybody having smartphones, having access to computer and the internet, anybody should be able to actually list their properties themselves, and that they can then decide whether they want to actually work with an agent or not. But it shouldn't be a mandatory requirement that you are actually stuck and cannot actually try and do something yourself.
good, good. Yeah, so by way of disclosure for anyone who's listening here, my agent is a company that myself and Nick have co-founded, and Nitin and his business are a partner and I guess a data supplier to that business. So I think you're right, and I do think it's a really interesting like moment in time because I've bought and sold many properties over my years, and you're right, all of the information about the market, what's happening, pricing, trends, um, even sort of potential rental valuations of a property, all of that was via the estate agent. And I think what we're seeing, and I think what you're saying there is that actually the availability of the data through businesses like yourself, through products like My Agent, what we're starting to see is an opportunity where the actual property owner can get access to that information and then make a decision about how they want to work and sell the property or buy a property. So yeah, and do you see like how what do you've got any thoughts on kind of what are the blockers going to be to that evolving? Like you
I
mentioned
think
like estate
I think when
agents making choices, like people are always going to use estate agents, right? Do you not?
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's about the trust factor. I'd say any whenever there's a changing of the guard or changing of the technology, people are always hesitant to change. They don't want to be making a mistake. And in the matter of property, it could be the most expensive mistake somebody makes. So you don't want to be doing that. But I think if people can actually be given trusted information and rather than I mean, well, we do automated valuations and some of the most accurate valuations through our platform. However, we always say, although the valuations are accurate, but it's all your hard-earned money. So we basically give you the relevant information which you would have otherwise needed to make that decision. So yes, our algorithms can actually come up with an accurate valuation, but at the end of the day, the customers are the ones who are selling their asset or buying that asset. They should be also getting the confidence that, yes, we've also looked at the relevant information, which allows us to make that decision. And I guess that has allowed the adoption a lot more. In the past, there have been other companies who've tried to come up with AVM, and the results have been less than positive, I would say. And that has actually, if anything, reduced the consumer confidence. But it's starting to come back with better quality data. But if you just say the number came out of the computer and not give them any relevant information, that can sometimes lead for them to not be basically making that decision. And ultimately, I think it's not just an end consumer. If you think about the asset managers or the banks, mortgage companies, etc., all of these people have to make decisions. And almost 80-90% of these transactions or decisions are actually happening with automated valuations. But what is useful is giving them the relevant information to support that, so that the caseworkers can say, fine, I've had a look at it, and yes, we can proceed, or no, there needs to be a manual intervention. We're not actually saying we won't need humans. I mean, you have topics like AI being brought in, and data. It's about how can we leverage these things and tools to our benefit. I mean, in the past, an agent was working locally because they understood their local market well. Now, with these technologies and tools, they're actually able to support clients maybe who's sitting overseas and being able to give them all the information, or even actually increasing the scope outside of their postcode or even their local area. Actually, they are supporting nationally. So that is basically the benefits. I mean, a lot of people think that with technology, with data, with AI, it's actually making the agents obsolete. I wouldn't say that. I think it's a case of, if you can evolve as an agency, then that's great for you. But it's about how we can embrace technology so that people can actually make the best use of it. That would be how I would see it.
Yeah, I tend to agree actually. I think there's been too much talk of AI and technology taking estate agents out of the loop. I actually think I disagree. I think they're going to be more important than ever, but
Yeah.
what they'll be able to do will be a lot more considered,
Yeah.
a lot more valuable for their clients, and they'll actually be able to provide their clients with a much better service. And it's those agents or estate agents who I think really adapt and kind of embrace to some extent the new capability. I'd certainly personally prefer to work with an estate agent who was able to give me really accurate data on the whole market around my property, because that would give me a lot of confidence in them. So I think you're right. This is an augmentation capability, not a displacement. Um,
Yeah.
so
And I think it does help them. I mean, they can do a lot more. So in fact, if there are things which they were wasting a lot of time, I mean, I guess agents can now be spending more time being agents rather than admins. So if you can think of the repetitive, boring tasks, yeah, data, API, these things can actually take, and AI can take it away from some of these things. The agents can focus on where they can leverage their experience best, and that would be more business for them, more revenue for the companies, and I think that's everybody's happy.
yeah, no, so you just answered my next question a little bit, which is, have you got any sort of specific thoughts on, the, you just mentioned AI there. Like, have you got any views on where AI I guess as a conversational interface, because that's what most of us are now experiencing as AI. I mean, AI
Yeah.
has been around for 20 years in various forms, but what we're now seeing is AI that you can chat to, and it feels like, to some extent there's an element of, I wouldn't call it intelligence, but there's certainly an element of humanity about the way you interact. Do you have any thoughts on how that might change the way people buy and sell properties?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think thanks for asking that question, actually, because this is a topic I kind of get involved with a lot. I mean, as a company, as you rightly said, basically AI has been around for a long time. It's not just that suddenly in the last 12 months AI has magically appeared. AI has been around for a very, very a long time. It's just that how we interact with AI and the new models that are coming out are really groundbreaking changes, which allow businesses to fast forward things much better. We are actually starting to see so many different trends, and I'll pick some of the examples as well. So, I mean, you can look at AI from, I mean, one of the biggest things is conversational bots, as you mentioned, where people are actually able to support their clients. I mean, if you think about a traditional agency website, you're basically, or when you pick a phone, talk to an agent, most of the time people are busy and at work. When they come back, the agents are already gone. So you're actually losing out on clients, and ultimately the way was send us an email or talk to us tomorrow kind of thing. Whereas now you can actually have AI bots sat on your websites working for you 24/7 and giving having meaningful conversations. I mean, I think, let's be honest, nobody likes chatting to a dumb bot, but now the information is being given to them possibly better than humans. And actually, that's been a groundbreaking change, which has allowed people to be triaged much, much better. And in addition, I think, I mean, we mentioned data and a lot of data kind of thing. So I guess sometimes for people who are not very good with or don't have the time to actually be trying to figure out everything which is written or been shared by an agent or anybody involved in the transaction, they can use AI to be giving them the bullet points or the key things or describing that information in a more human-friendly manner, which is becoming really popular trend. I mean, we're working with a couple of our customers where we give pretty powerful reports. However, what they then do is they would actually get AI agents sat in front of them, which will describe this report so that the customer and then customer could be a buyer or a seller can understand a lot quickly about the property, whether or not it's a great investment for them or their anybody who's buying in, depending on obviously whether you're a buyer or a seller. And that's becoming quite an interesting trend. Even with the listings, that's also becoming quite easy. I actually just recently rented my property on one of the portals and basically used AI. I mean, we use AI quite a lot actually to generate listing information, and you can almost use it as well, actually, I would say it's saving us a lot of money on admin costs because it's actually doing a lot of administrative tasks. And I've got like a Chat GPT and Google Gemini and some of the others who are actually always creating content for us, writing emails on our behalf, and actually, yeah, I mean, I think we use it quite a bit. And other popular trend is actually around the content generation, which is the groundbreaking thing, rather than having to think what to write in a listing, or even actually when you're reaching out to your customer, what do you actually send them? How do you send a concise letter to a cold letter to a client? What would get him interested? And in the past, you would have to hire content writers and basically be thinking. And a lot of times, customers who are busy would end up not doing it because they just haven't got the time. So not anymore. So now you can actually simply just use AI to actually generate these letters, whether you're talking about automated AI-powered direct mailing, which basically can go to thousands and thousands of people in a click of a button, because these letters are now being written with your information. It's not like the computer is not just magically generating it, but if you could give some insights and train these models, and over time they become more and more intelligent and they become more and more like you, so that the content which that gets generated is amazing. And that's been the groundbreaking change, really, because in the past people have tried some of these things, but the output has been nothing but like, okay, fine, it works for a couple of simple tasks, but it doesn't really actually do what it's supposed to do. But that's changing quite quickly, and these trends are meaning that new businesses are coming in and new opportunities are opening up for companies.
Yeah, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and certainly for my agent, we think the advent of generative AI in itself isn't the groundbreaking change. It's that combined with high quality trained data,
Yeah.
and those two capabilities, as you say, really do open up a whole range of new opportunities. Um, Last question, I think, just because we like to keep Apex fairly brief, and obviously we'd love to invite you back for another podcast in the future. Um, suppose if I was gonna, if you kind of like just crystal ball for just 1 minute, yeah, you know, it's 3 years from now, you know, and you're someone who's looking to buy or sell a property, or normally most people are both, right? Most people are selling a property in order to then buy a new property. So that person in 3 years' time, just 30 seconds, like what do you think they're going to be doing? How are they at the moment, or historically 3 years ago? It was definitely pick up the phone to an estate agent, and to some extent, that was almost the beginning and the end of the process in terms of their involvement. How do you see that looking moving forward?
think I think the 3 years is a very long time, I would say, in today's world, especially with the advent of how quickly things are changing with AI. But I would kind of try to predict and claim what would happen. I think it's all about how organizations come together. So, of course, we have organizations like Property Deals Inside, which are coming with solutions. You've got My Agent, and there are others, the larger portals, etc., who have been around. It's all about how we can actually bring these things together. And more and more with AI, you're actually able to allocate them tasks, and it can search things for you. Such, I mean, I don't even think this will actually have to wait for 3 years. But if I was to look for property as a property investor, I could be doing this while I'm actually driving well down to the beach, and basically use the automated voice recognition, which currently already supported by things like ChatGPT, to say I'm looking for a certain property which has to match so and so criteria. I'm looking for, let's say, over 10% yield, and I would prefer it to be a three-bedroom house near a certain school, or give any other criteria. And it can actually plug in, take, interpret my requirements, and then translate it, relate back to a provider like Property Deals Inside, where we actually identify some of these properties and give them what are the returns going to be like, how you can describe it. And this could then be plugged into actually sending out an inquiry on your behalf and then receiving a response. Because ultimately, if there are agents also adopted, that they could have instant responses with meaningful information, which would possibly mean by the time I actually get to, let's say, a beach, or wherever I was going to, you possibly already have an offer accepted, and things can be moving much, much, much quicker. So you don't have to be waiting for weeks. And I guess one of the other things which has to be made faster is going to be the land registry, and they are already coming out of old ages, and then hoping to move forward. But if we have a connected world, you could be getting transaction in a few seconds rather than actually having to wait for months. That would be where the world is going to be heading. I would be very surprised if we are not somewhere close to that.
Wow, I think that's quite a fascinating vision. So it's almost like the Uber for buying and selling property is kind of what you envisage is one potential future for individuals.
Absolutely.
So I'll wrap it up here. Listen, so thanks a lot for joining. Really great to be able to talk to you today. Like I said, we'll be in touch soon, and we'd love to invite you back. But in the meantime, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here, and good luck with the Apex series and for My Agent as well. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.